Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone to the Hardcore FM podcast show. I am your host, Hardcore Declan. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just talk about Bronxville, how wonderful, because I put out a video last week, this day last week, how wonderful the cops down there. Because there's three of my favourite boys down there. Of course, Sergeant Morgan, Sergeant Nicholas DeYoung, and Sergeant Carroll. My three favourite boys down there, that are very, very professional of what they do. And also we will throw in Officer Blessington, because Officer Blessington heard my video from last week, and hallelujah, we finally are on talking terms. He finally unblocked me off Facebook, and we've been talking all night, and we've buried the hatchet. And as I said in my video last week about Officer Christopher K. Blessington, I forgive you, Chris, of course, and of course, thank you very much for burying the hatchet. Of course, because the boys in Bronxville, they do fantastic work. I'll say it again, they do fantastic work down there. What else am I going to say? Obviously, I want to kind of get to a different issue in a few minutes. They're great people. My three boys, my three best sergeants down there: Sergeant Morgan, Sergeant Carroll, and Sergeant DeYoung. And I'm going to throw in Detective Anderson, because I was talking to Detective Anderson about, I think it was 2 o'clock today, and Anderson, of course, he has that heavy New York accent, the stereotype accent, and as you know, me and Detective Anderson, of course, had a little bit of an issue going back when I first started speaking to the Bronxville Police Department. And of course, we were talking today, and hopefully we buried the hatchet down there, because we kind of started off on a sour note, and I just want to, as I said, I just want to stop this bad blood between myself and Bronxville. So Detective Anderson is another guy that I spoke to today. Now let's get on to Nicholas DeYoung. I found out something today about Nicholas DeYoung today. A certain individual came to me and told him, this individual told me this is what Nicholas DeYoung said. After all the good things I said about Sergeant Nicholas DeYoung, that guy never rings down there, he's never speaking to Carol, and all this, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to make peace with the Bronxville Police Department, because you never know. Someday I might wind up in Bronxville, and I might need assistance. And if I want to be, I just want to be in their good books. I just want to, apologize to anybody, any Bronxville officer that I have ever been rude to. And I just want to make amends to any Bronxville police officer or sergeant or detective, because, you never know, I could end up in Bronxville one day. And, I may need their assistance, as I said in my other video. But I find out that Sergeant Nicholas DeYoung has been basically telling this individual, and this individual is getting back to me saying it's all a delusional. Declan doesn't talk to Carol. Okay, now I'm just gonna put this to bed now, because I don't want to really, start a fight again with the Bronxville Police Department. Because they're good people. Three of my best pupils, my 3 best sergeants down there. Nicholas, if you disbelieve that I wasn't speaking to Sergeant Carroll, I was speaking to Sergeant Carroll last Sunday. Probably would have been around 4 a.m. my time, and probably 11 p.m. Bronxville. So if you don't disbelieve that you weren't there, that I wasn't speaking to Carol, and that I'm delusional and stuff like that, ask Sergeant Carroll, was I speaking to Carol? Because apparently he's telling this other individual now. He might pick up on who I'm talking about, but apparently, this individual told me that Nicholas DeYoung told him that it's all BS, and I never spoke to Sergeant Carroll. I also, last Friday, because I remember, I also I spoke to Sergeant Morgan. I spoke to Sergeant Morgan on Friday this would have been last week, not today. It would have been last Friday I spoke to Sergeant Morgan. And I remember because I actually done a video about the Bronxville Police and Chris Blessington, and reaching out to Chris, to make amends, which we've done that, but we'll get into Chris Blessington in a minute. So I rang the Bronxville Police Department last Friday, not today, last Friday, so don't get mixed up. And I spoke to Sergeant Morgan, and happy days. He was the only person, Sergeant Morgan was the only person that got I was actually very, very surprised and delighted in a way, because Sergeant Morgan actually got my name right. So I was happy, and that's what I said. I said, you know what, Sergeant Morgan is the only guy down there in Bronxville that gets my name right. Everybody else, I don't know about everybody else, but Blessington thinks I'm this Lawrence guy. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit about Blessington in a bit. But anyway, so I was speaking to Sergeant Morgan last Friday. I can't recall the time I was speaking to Sergeant Morgan. But I'm sure if Nicholas DeYoung wants to ask Sergeant Morgan, was he speaking to Declan? I guarantee you he would say yes. And obviously, but this other individual is saying that I wasn't speaking to him, so I don't know what's going on. And I was also speaking to Sergeant Carroll on Sunday. Actually, I was speaking to Sergeant Carroll, and my wife was speaking to Sergeant Carroll on Sunday. I spoke to Sergeant Morgan by myself on Friday. Me and my wife spoke to Sergeant Carroll on Sunday. So back to tonight. What happened about tonight? As you know, I reached out to Chris Blessington.